In this module, we're going to review the PCG specification for Google Analytics. This is an overview to help you understand the reason why this specification was created and the benefits that dealers and vendors experience when utilizing this specification. Dealers face many challenges, but when it comes to marketing data, there's very few standards that help dealers to measure the effectiveness of their digital marketing. What are the key performance indicators that they should be looking at in AdWords, Facebook, video pre-roll? For the most part, there's no clear set of standards and coaching for dealers. Also, they face difficulties in getting access to their own data. I call this lack of ownership. Google recommends that AdWords agencies connect AdWords and analytics so the dealer can inspect the quality of traffic generated from AdWords, but there are some agencies that refuse to do it. Dealers also face issues with lack of connectivity. Innovation is stifled at times when smaller companies are trying to innovate and leverage the data that's contained in the dealer's DMS, but high certification fees and monthly recurring costs often squash projects that really could have added value at a low cost. There's also a lack of accountability. Technology companies sell websites, chat platforms, call tracking platforms, but rarely are they checking that their software is properly logging consumer engagement, phone calls, chats, and text messages into Google Analytics. Remember, Google Analytics is an independent platform that allows dealers to inspect the performance of their marketing and sales processes. So if their vendor partners aren't supporting and ensuring that the data is there, the dealer is challenged. Large dealer groups face unique challenges as well. It's not uncommon due to OEM restrictions that dealer groups have multiple website platforms and multiple agency partners because of co-op. Also, in a large dealer group, there's so many competing voices on who's working to help the dealership group sell more cars. Every marketing channel wants to take credit: television, AdWords, social media, video pre-roll. And when a dealer goes into their CRM to try to figure out which marketing channels are working, well, CRMs are built on last click attribution, and it really blinds dealers on the multiple touch points that influence the consumer to come to their website and convert. Also, lack of expertise. Even though some of the largest public groups have hired data scientists and MBAs, the average mid to small dealer group does not have the training and the experience to deal with all the data that's associated with their marketing investments. Dealers need simplified business intelligence tools like VistaDash, a product that I've been working on for many, many years. So where do we go from here? Well, the PCG specification was based on multiple conversations where dealers want more leads. They wanted to know how to get better. And when I went into Google Analytics to try to help them, what I found out was every vendor was doing their own thing. Some were tracking phone calls. Others were tracking phone calls and leads. Very rarely was Google Analytics set up properly to allow a third party to inspect the marketing investments a dealer was making. When we talk about leads, let's review the two types. Direct leads are generated from your website. As you send marketing traffic to your website, whether a consumer's on their mobile phone, desktop, or tablet, they're going to generate action. Some people will call, some may submit an email lead form, some may chat or text with the dealership, others will just come in at a predetermined time and visit the dealership. All of those opportunities are typically sent into the dealer's CRM system as website leads. But here's the challenge. Which marketing channel influenced those email leads, those phone calls, those chat messages? Do you understand that unless we know which marketing channels are touching consumers who come to our website, and there's multiple times that they come to the dealer's website, we can't get better. So as I was scratching my head, I really said, man, we got to do a better job of tracking who is driving traffic to the website. Is it Facebook? Is it AdWords? Is it television? Is it a direct mail piece? Is it our CRM email campaigns? And can't we get that information into Google Analytics and the CRM? The second type of leads I want to talk about for this discussion is third-party leads. They come indirectly, not through the dealer's website. So whether a dealer's using AutoTrader, CarGurus, Cars.com, the ADF XML file is sent directly to the dealer's CRM. Meaning, if someone fills out a form on AutoTrader, AutoTrader sends that lead directly to the CRM. The consumer never has to visit the dealer's website. Those type of leads are very difficult to predict because dealers don't have access to the analytics on these third-party classifieds. So for today's discussion, we're going to really talk about the PCG specification for first-party leads. When we talk about leads and how do we measure which marketing channels are creating these leads, these phone calls, these chats, these text messages, we need a mechanism in Google Analytics called goals. A goal is very simply a specific interaction that someone takes on your website that leads to a conversion. So lead forms, phone calls, chats, and text messages are what I call hard conversions. Soft conversions would be something like visiting a VDP, looking at photos on the VDP. The 4 hard conversion goals are extremely important because these are people who have raised their hand, they need assistance, and we need to measure which marketing channels, which messages, which targeting strategies generated those conversions. As you'll see in a minute, only a small percentage of all traffic to the dealer's website converts to a lead. The majority do not. They remain anonymous until they show up on the dealer's lot. How do we know what those consumers are doing then? Well, in Google Analytics, we can create events. Events allow you, the dealer, to track what a consumer is doing on the website. So for example, if a consumer plays a video, a dealer could send an event into Google Analytics indicating that that consumer played the video, and then of course Google Analytics can tie that to whether it is a Facebook visit or a direct visit from a Comcast property or a direct visit from CarGurus. Events allows website owners to see all of the actions that consumers are taking on their website. How could goals be triggered? Well, I've listed 5 ways that goals can be configured in Google Analytics. Let me just review a few of them. A specific page is viewed. For example, when a lead form is submitted, often dealers show a thank you page. So if your website platform uses a thank you page, you can set a goal that says when the thank you page is viewed, increment the lead form goal. Other goals are not hard conversions. For example, if somebody's on the website over 4 minutes, increment this goal. Or if a consumer looks at more than 5 pages per session, increment this goal. The one that I like to use the most and has really been leveraged by the PCG specification is event-based goals. If you wanted to set a goal for how many people looked at photos, well, you would need to have an event that is triggered when someone looks at photos, and then I can set a goal to look for that event. If a chat company that's sitting on your website sends a lead to your CRM, if they send an event into Google Analytics, I can create a goal for chat conversions. It's the same for call tracking. If the call tracking company, when they connect the phone call with the dealership, sends an event into Google Analytics, I can then set a phone conversion goal. But here's one thing that's very important. Rarely are all 4 conversion goals working in Google Analytics. And this is a crime because if those 4 goals are not working, dealers will have a very difficult time of improving their marketing outcomes. I already mentioned that dealers want more leads. Leads can be chats, text, phone calls, lead forms. Well, if you're not tracking which channels are generating those 4 important conversions, how can you expect someone to improve the marketing campaigns? Keep in mind that the minority of visitors to a dealer's website will convert to a lead. Over 90% of the consumers who come to a dealer's website every single month never complete a lead form, never call, never chat or text. Yet, all of our marketing reports are so focused on conversions. Conversions are important, but they still represent a very small percentage of the people who come come to the dealer's website. The PCG specification answers the question, what were they doing? What were the consumers doing on the website who didn't submit a lead? Why is this important? It's because if the people who are coming to the dealer's website are high quality, engaged shoppers, they're looking at photos, they're playing videos, they're using the trade-in tool, that's great. Dealers can't force anybody to submit a lead. But if the traffic that the dealer is paying for comes to the website and does nothing a shopper would do, or is very poorly engaged, you can understand that that dealer's probably going to be spending a lot of money to not increase their monthly sale. The study of which marketing channels are generating the most conversions or leads and the most engaged shopping traffic is often referred to as an attribution model. Attribution models are built to try to figure out and weigh the different influences that bring a consumer to a dealer's website. Attribution models in today's ecosystem need to be multi-touch and weighted properly based on a number of factors. Unfortunately, most dealers are using their CRM as an attribution tool. It was never designed that way. CRMs only record the last source or the last touch that created a lead. So a consumer can come to the dealer's website by Facebook, then come back by AdWords, and then types in the dealer's name organically, submits a lead. All last click would do is give the organic traffic all the credit for the lead. And of course, in today's world, dealers know that that's ridiculous, yet they still look at lead performance reports and compare it to their marketing dollars. So there had to be a better approach. And the PCG specification for Google Analytics created standards for the auto industry to use. There is an open public document that's available for download that defines standard names for conversion goals, standard names for engagement events, and we also include special naming conventions for products that are very unique. All major website platforms support the PCG specification along with chat and call tracking and marketing automation companies. That's why it's so important that you understand what the project is attempting to do. The 4 hard conversion goals are named CPE, conversion call, conversion forms, conversion chat, and conversion text. Those are in green. We also, in the default 1.0 specification, have 4 other goals. The call conversion for AdWords, which is a hard conversion, and then 3 soft conversion goals. Did the consumer look at a photo during their session, meaning clicked or swiped? Did they go to the footer page links? Did they go to the hours and directions page? But there is a limitation. On a dealer's website, there are many different types of forms. Get e-price, unlock price, name your price, trade in your car. I mean, there's so many different forms. So in a very basic way, the 4 hard conversion goals are just the starting point for dealers to get better. In the PCG Specification 2.0, which has been recently released, we're encouraging website companies to fire an event every time a form is completed and to name what type of form it was. For example, at the bottom of the screen, CPE form complete sales always is the event for a sales form, and then trade-in, unlock price, e-price, make offer would follow. Why do I highlight those root words in blue? Because if a dealer wanted to know how many sales phone calls were submitted for the first time, dealers would have that ability. Instead of just saying, I got 20 form leads, wouldn't it be much better if the dealer knew how many were for sales, service, and parts? More importantly, the PCG specification will maximize the return on ad spend from AdWords. Most dealers spend their money on new and used car advertising in AdWords. I would say over 90% of all AdWords budgets in the United States are for new and used cars or branding for sales. With the PCG specification, instead of just having the call conversion goal, the form conversion goal, the chat conversion goal, and the text conversion goal in blue, that's the basic, that's the minimum for the first time. When a dealer uses a compatible vendor for call tracking, they'll be able to pull out just the sales calls. If their website provider is sending events by form type, they will be able to get sales forms. If their chat and texting companies, again, are differentiating in Google Analytics the chats that were for sales, the texts that were sales, for the first time, agencies can import these 4 goals and optimize their AdWords campaigns based on the sales outcomes. customers. Today, Google AdWords is treating all conversions equally, and unfortunately, that is a costly mistake. How do we track events? Well, we use something called a Google Tag Manager container. It sits on every page on the dealer's website. PCG, when they're working with a dealer, will write Tag Manager scripts to track events. Website companies will provide Tag Manager assistance, and some of the website companies natively support the PCG events, so a Tag Manager script writer isn't required. The bottom line is you should understand that with the Google Tag Manager container, each website can be customized to track what consumers are doing on the website. What the PCG specification has done is to create consistent naming conventions so that whether someone's on a dealer on website or a dealer.com or a CDK website, the same events are being fired for the same actions. This will allow dealers and dealer groups to compare the performance of different website platforms. Here's a perfect example. On this page, there's a photo gallery, there's a save this car, there's a get price alerts, there's a check availability, there's a schedule a test drive. You get the idea. In the PCG specifications, we've created names for all the buttons and call to action messages on a dealer's website. So if the website companies are using the same specification, you understand now in a multi-store group how easy it would be to create enterprise reporting measuring engagement on each website platform regardless of the technology. The same thing goes with chat, texting, and call events. We have a minimum specification. Chat companies that engage with consumers need to fire the chat engage event. If the chat company sends a lead to the CRM, they fire the CPE chat complete. More advanced chat platforms will actually send an event based on what type of chat lead. Was it for sales, service, or parts? Same thing goes with phone calls. If somebody clicks on a click to call or they call a tracking number, we want to know that. That's called CPE phone call. But if it's connected and there's a conversation, we also want a minimum event called phone call confirmed. But great companies like Car Wars and Call Review are part of a growing number of phone tracking companies that will listen to the call and actually send an event into Google Analytics based on the type of call. This is really important, and you'll see why in a minute. But again, in the PCG specification, all of these names are there and consistent. So whether it's Call Review or Car Wars or Interactive Tell or MarchX, if these companies are compatible with the specification, dealers can move from call tracking platform to call tracking platform, or if there's some OEM requirements, could have different phone tracking companies within a dealer group but still have the same events to create standardized reports. Why is tracking the outcomes of phone calls so important? Here's an example of about $800,000 in AdWords spend. This spend was primarily for new and used car and branding. Of the phone calls that converted from AdWords clicks, there were 6,067 of them. Only 11% or 675 calls were for sales. Do you understand? Service had twice as many phone calls, and the majority of the phone calls from Google AdWords were for things other than buying a new or used car. The PCG specification creates structures for dealers to have better lead reports. For example, a typical dealer may get a report at the end of the month from their marketing manager that says, hey boss, we got 45 chat and text messages, we have 230 phone calls, and we had 111 website leads. And the general manager might say, okay, great, that's 386. Let's multiply that by 15%. That's how many cars I want to sell. But when you leverage the value of the PCG specification, boy, the general manager's eyes just bug out. Why? Because the majority of the conversions were not for sales. Like I said, it's very common for the majority of phone calls from AdWords and other sources not to be for sales. Now, Facebook is a little different. Phone calls from a sales ad on Facebook are typically for sales. But look at the difference. The BDC or Internet Department only had 140 swings at the plate, so 15% of 140 is a reasonable goal, not 15% of 386. When dealers start to measure outcomes, when vendors support support the PCG specification to record outcomes, everyone in the ecosystem can get better. When you start tracking engagement, when you start measuring conversions, you can start to create quality metrics to inspect the traffic that's coming to a dealer's website. These are 4 quality metrics in the PCG specification. Let me just highlight 2. 0 engagements per page is the percentage of website sessions that recorded 0 engagement points in the PCG scoring system. We give points if they clicked on a button, if they played a video, if they swiped at a photo gallery, did they download the Carfax. ZEP is the percentage of people who've done nothing to get a point. If the ZEP is high, that means the dealer knows instantly that that traffic is not engaged. If ZEP is 80, 90, or more, you know that the traffic quality is poor. One of the more popular metrics is PER. Used car managers love this. This is the percentage of sessions that clicked or swiped on a photo gallery control. Why is this important? Well, a used car manager knows that if he's going to pay for shoppers to come to his website, they better be looking at photos. So we have some benchmarks. For example, AdWords campaigns should have a minimum PER of 15%, meaning 15% of the clicks looked at photos. Great AdWords campaigns can have as high as 25% PER. But if a dealer is paying a few $1,000s a month for used car marketing on AdWords and the PER is 2%, they instantly know they have a problem. So PER and ZEP are just 2 examples of how dealers can use Google Analytics to create quality metrics and improve their marketing outcomes. Here's a typical marketing report. The campaign name, how many clicks or sessions to the dealer's website, what the cost was, the cost per click, the time on site, TOS, how many pages per session on average, 4.3 for the first dealer name campaign, and how many conversions. Those of you who are looking at this screen right now, I want to challenge you. What actionable data does a dealer have, a general manager have, even a marketing manager? How do they know that 30 leads is good, or for the used car campaign, if 40 leads were good? The answer is you don't. You have to guess, you have to trust. But when you implement quality metrics, that display campaign, while many display campaigns don't have high conversions to leads, they should be bringing engaged traffic to the website. For this example, 80% of those 2,200 visitors did nothing a shopper would do. If this display campaign was to sell new or used cars, to advertise a specific incentive or lease program, I would say that this campaign targeting and message is not producing engaged traffic. How about the Conquest email campaign? 95% of those visits, those 12,500 visitors, did nothing a shopper would do. It resulted in 0 leads. Again, anything with a ZEP over 70% is an instant red flag. 80, 90%, that is a stop until something could be improved. In summary, the PCG specification is a framework for all automotive marketing and technology companies to serve their clients better through standards in data collection in Google Analytics. There's no cost to the dealer. There's no cost to the vendor. It's an open standard that lists the names for goals, lists the name for events, and how to use these goals and events to create better reports to optimize marketing campaigns using the valuable data associated with their marketing. And of course, larger dealer groups love the PCG specification because finally they can compare different website and agency platforms within their group. They can find which campaigns in the group are working best and learn from it. They can see which websites have the best SEO or organic traffic and learn from it. They can see which websites, agencies, and targeting produces the best social media traffic, independent of website, independent of agency. Just a set of quality metrics that allows the auto industry to improve its return on ad spend. So the PCG specification is growing in support through the automotive marketing and technology vendors. Dealers and dealer groups are realizing the value of having actionable metrics, not just quantity metrics, but quality metrics that are defined using the data we collect in Google Analytics. So make sure you understand that the average dealer in the United States does not have Google Analytics set up properly to inspect their marketing partners. I'm not going to guess why that's the case, but whether you're a vendor or a dealer watching this video module, it's time to make a decision. Are you going to get the data to make better marketing decisions? Are you going to provide transparent data to help dealers improve their return on ad spend? The companies that raise their hand, the dealers that engage and take their data seriously, will have a strategic advantage because their data and reporting will be consistent and standardized based on the PCG specification for Google Analytics.